I'm not a singer, but let's get started with our opening song. 3, 2, 1. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. So, good morning, everyone. I'm just going to hold this, I think. Thank you. Thank you. So good morning, everyone. My name is Robyn Perry, and I will be presenting service today. We have all kinds of technical assistants today. Lisa Merrill Price, Bob Price, Steve Israel, Kayla have all been helping and providing assistance. Please be aware that we are recording this service and it will be posted on our YouTube page. However, for privacy during Joys and Concerns, and you'll learn what that is in a moment, we will pause recording so that portion will not be recorded and put on the internet. Also, we now save announcements for the end of service, and that will be done after we extinguish the chalice, which is right in front of us. So, our welcome statement today is, we greet you today as you join us in a wider search for truth and purpose. In this quest, may we encounter one another with open hearts and minds. May we inspire each other to consider new questions and seek deeper meaning. And may we cultivate wisdom and compassion. Let all who enter this place see a welcome face, hear a kind word, and find comfort in this community. May all that we do and say here today help us to be a force for positive change in the world. So for those of you who are new to us, and there's quite a few of you, I'm really excited that today's service you chose, A, because it's mine, but also B, I'm actually going to kind of be talking a little bit about what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. So this is kind of an exciting service to start off with. So please note that we are a diverse group with a wide variety of interests and beliefs, and therefore our services are varied in format, tone, and topic. We encourage you to attend or view online several services to gain a good understanding of our congregation. If you want to start receiving our weekly email newsletter and are not doing so already, there should be a little blue card. Someone will hold it up in the back of, yep, right there, in the chair next to you or out on the greeting table. If you're interested in getting our weekly email newsletter, fill out one of those and we'll get you onto our list. You can give those to basically anyone in here, or there's a box out on the greeting table. So please take a moment to greet your neighbors. I like to give it 15 seconds. Thank you, that was a quick one. Okay, so the chalice will be lit today by Susan Rogers. Yay! So please join me in reading the words provided for the lighting of the chalice, which you can find either in your order of service or up here on the screen. So, cooking demands attention, patience, and above all, a respect for the gifts of the earth. It is a form of worship, a way of giving thanks. And those words come from Judith B. Jones, who was actually the writer and editor who championed for Julia Child's Mastering the Art of French Cooking and actually saved the Diary of Anne Frank from the reject pile. So very interesting individual. So now is the time for sharing of joys, concerns, and milestones. Lisa, please pause recording. You can begin recording again, please. So usually after Joys and Concerns, we take a just kind of moment of silence, do a breathing exercise. Ted is not here today to guide us on that, but we do just have a quick little 1-minute YouTube video for a breathing exercise, if you'd like to join in. That's it. There was music with it, but it's fine. Okay, so today's service is a little different. I'm really excited to see a lot of new people here to share this with you. Just a fair warning, this is kind of going to be more me waxing poetically about what it means to be a UU. And I guess this is kind of like a religious theory that I came up with, like technically. So about a month ago or so now, well, a little bit longer ago, but we restarted what used to be called adult discussion groups, or they're now called Open Circle. And so about a month ago, there was an Open Circle hosted by Winnie and Will, which was about Unitarian Universalism and humor. So it was kind of based around a lot of jokes that are told by and about Unitarian Universalists. I'm a big fan of comedy and Unitarian Universalism, so I attended and it was great. And honestly, most of the discussion group was just us going in a circle and telling our favorite UU jokes, which was like really fun. And interestingly, kind of a theme that we all kind of discussed and realized was a lot of the jokes that were about Unitarian Universalists or UUs was that they're very self-deprecating, or they kind of play on the fact that most UUs, if not all UUs, really love to question and discuss things. And I think that's kind of a running joke that we all know, like, we just question everything when it comes to religion, spirituality, things on earth, etc. And so my favorite that I would like to share with all of you is Unitarian Universalism is where you go to get your answers questioned. And I think that really, and me being a stereotype of a UU, that got me thinking. I was like, oh, that is true. Unitarian Universalism is where you go to get your answers questioned. But at the same time, it made me start thinking, what is Unitarian Universalism? No, seriously, what is it? Can anyone in this, no, I'm just kidding. So what makes someone a UU? And this is such a hard question to answer because once again, Unitarian Universalism is a religion, but it is kind of more of almost like a worldview or philosophy, kind of like Buddhism, in the sense of there's not one holy book, there's not one, any of this. And I think that's very confusing, when you first come into Unitarian Universalism, because you're like, oh, this is a church, what do I read, or because when I first joined here, which is almost 5 years ago, which is kind of crazy, but that's I came in and I was like, wow, I realize I have been a Unitarian Universalist my whole life. I did have that realization, but I was also like, okay, what's the next step? What do I read? What do I do? And there's there is no one thing that you read. It's kind of up to you to, determine what it is. And I will admit, as you can see, we are very much a lay-led congregation. So this might be slightly different in congregations where there are ministers. And I do know there are UU 101 classes, but at the same time, why do some UU churches have ministers and why do some not? Why are some lay-led? And so just generally, as you can see, Unitarian Universalism is kind of what you make of it, and that's very confusing. And I was kind of discussing with Lisa before, and Ginny before service, was you can even go on the UUA, so the Unitarian Universalist Association's website, which is the national association, and they don't really have anything that says this is what it means to be a UU. We do have principles, which I will go over, but all of their videos are from 30 years ago. And they're also oh, I used to be a Buddhist and now I'm a Unitarian. And I'm well, that doesn't explain what it means to be a Unitarian. And it is also a little confusing as well, because as some of us may know, if we know our Unitarian Universalist history, which if you don't, that's cool. But we do come from two Christian traditions that joined not that long ago in the 1960s. So it's just kind of well, are you Christian? It's kind of historically, our background is, but it's so much more. So basically, after attending many services and becoming very involved here at MVUC, I think I kind of went along the path of being a UU in the same way that probably most of us here did, which is like, I just figured it out. Like, I realized that, everybody here I have very similar interests with, but at the same time, like, we don't all have the same religious or spiritual or et cetera beliefs. Like, we all come from different backgrounds and that kind of thing. But at the same time, it is confusing because if some of us would probably know, everyone says, oh, well, you can read A Chosen Faith, An Introduction to Unitarian Universalism, which is like the one book that I think like most people, but at the same time, like it's almost more of a history or a discussion of like how Unitarian Universalism was formed. So it's like some of the like older ministers who are like, yeah, we were Unitarian and then we formed with the Universalists and then we like came together. But I'm like, if you don't have any background in that, or if you weren't there, like it's not very helpful, like about what it actually means to be a Unitarian Universalist. So I essentially, out of the discussion group, the open circle group that we had, kind of thinking about it, and I also got sick and tired of my friends and family being like, so what does it mean to be a Unitarian Universalist? And I think we all have the same thing where we'd be like, I don't know. Like, there's not really, it's so hard to explain to people what it means. So finally, and my PowerPoint should come up in a moment, I came up with the concept of what I call the cUUkie with 2 U's because it's Unitarian Universalist. And so this is basically just kind of my like religious theory, I guess, on like what it, and I literally, like, it was probably 2 days after the discussion group on like jokes about Unitarian Universalists. And I was like, oh no, I have to write this down. And it was like 11:30 at night. And I started making this PowerPoint. So I'm gonna just kind of go over how I feel, what it means, and I think this is also like very Unitarian Universalist in itself. But so I'm gonna introduce to you my concept of the cUUkie. Next slide, please. So the cUUkie is actually very heavily influenced by, if you've ever heard of the genderbread person before. And what the genderbread person is it's a visualization of how to teach individuals about what it means, sex versus gender, sexual orientation, expression, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is kind of my basis. I took a lot of inspiration from this. And the cUUkie is helpful in like, if you're sick and tired of people thinking you're in a cult, because people will ask you, they're like, what's that place out on the highway? Is that a cult? And you're like, well, not really. So this will kind of be a better description on how to describe to individuals what it means to be yourself. Next slide, please. So I'm going to kind of talk about, there are different components of the cUUkie. There's a lot of different ones, and they essentially make up different portions of you, of who you are as an individual in terms of your background, in terms of your religiosity, in terms of your spirituality, and how they all kind of mix together to become you, who is the cUUkie. Next slide, please. So the bakery is the first one. The bakery is basically what I consider like Unitarian Universalism. Like, we all exist in the bakery together. We're all cookies in the bakery. This is the earth, or whatever you want to call it. But this is where we all exist together as Unitarian Universalists. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so this is kind of where maybe like this is gonna, it's already weird, so let's just go with it. But so the staff is essentially, how many people do you see working in the bakery? Maybe we're all at different angles in the bakery. Maybe I don't see anybody working in the bakery. Maybe you see one person working in the bakery. Maybe you see multiple people working in the bakery. To me, this is kind of like religiosity. So this is, are you an atheist? Are you a deist? Are you an agnostic? Are you not sure that anybody is working in the bakery? And if so, it kind of goes under the monotheist versus polytheist thing, which is like one person working in the bakery versus like a whole group of people working in the bakery. So that's kind of step one. Next, please. So the plate. The plate is what you're sitting on as the cookie that you are. So what does the plate you're sitting on look like? This is essentially kind of what I imagine is like your cultural or like ethnic background, because in some instances, your culture or your ethnic background does influence your religion or your spirituality, such as Irish Catholic, such as, Jewish, et cetera, being Buddhist and those kinds of things. So our next slide is the dough. This is essentially what you are made of. So this is kind of your upbringing. So how did your childhood or your life up until becoming a UU, or if you were one of the lucky ones and raised UU, how does that influence your religion or spirituality? Essentially, this is not your cultural or ethnic background, but it's your experiences up until finding UU. How did that influence your kind of religiosity and spirituality up until that point? Next slide, please. So toppings/mix-ins. So this is kind of, and one of the many principles we have as UUs is a free spiritual growth, and like kind of just allowing people to kind of pick up along the way what they like. Maybe you found some stuff in Buddhism that you find interesting and that's part of your spirituality. Maybe you previously were or continue to be Christian because you grew up that way and you keep some of those things, and that's fine and that's great, and we celebrate that as UUs. And that's kind of what I mean as toppings and mix-ins. So this is, what have you picked up along the way? Like, what is mixed into your dough? So your spiritual growth and search for truth and meaning, which are our third and fourth principles, as I kind of just mentioned. So yeah, and so the next one, and this one's like kind of a stretch, but just go with me, okay? So this is the proximity to the oven. And so essentially what I think of the oven in the bakery as is like energy or the universe. So do you feel the heat or energy from the oven? So essentially, to me, this is spirituality. Like, do you believe in spirituality? Like, do you pray? Do you meditate? Do you use other forms of spiritual connection? Or do you not feel the heat at all? Are you just, I guess the term would be humanism or skepticism or something along those lines. But essentially, the closer you are to the oven and the more you feel that heat is kind of the more you feel that spirituality. And you would probably be more likely to pray or meditate or something as opposed to just not doing those things. Next slide, please. Okay, so the glass, because obviously you need something to drink with your cookies, right? Is what's in the glass and how full is the glass? So to me, this is essentially just like, what do you do as an individual to keep your spiritual glass full? Is it meditating? Is it going out into the community and volunteering? Is it going for a walk in nature? Is it watching science documentaries? This could be kind of anything, and it's kind of how you develop your own spirituality. And even if you're not a very religious person, even if you're not a very spiritual person, maybe you don't pray, maybe you don't meditate, maybe you don't do those things, but maybe you go for a walk in the woods and you're like, wow, I feel really connected to everything. Or maybe, for me, it's like when I watch like space documentaries, I'm like, wow, we're all interconnected, and that kind of thing. So that's kind of the accessory to the cookie. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is my favorite slide. The cleanup. So do you end up in the tummy or the compost bin or something else? So once you're done with the bakery, once you leave, where do you go, right? And what happens? Do you believe in some form of an afterlife? Do you go into a dinosaur's tummy? Or do you go into a compost bin? Or do you just end up on the floor? Who knows? And so this is another big component, I would say, for most people, even if they didn't grow up with a religious or spiritual background. We all question, what happens at the end? And so that's kind of what the cleanup is. It's kind of what's in the end. Next slide, please. Okay. And so the policy is something I will kind of explain in a little more detail. If you don't know, Unitarian Universalists stand by predominantly 7, but individual congregations have voted to accept the 8th one during the pandemic, and we were one of the ones who did. So we stand by 8 principles. Those are essentially the policy of the bakery or the rules of the bakery. So for example, the first one is we recognize the inherent worth and dignity of every person. The second is we demonstrate justice, equity, and compassion. The third is we accept one another and encourage spiritual growth. Number 4 is a searching freely and responsibly for truth and meaning. Number 5 is we support the democratic process. Number 6 is improving the global community. Number 7 is respecting our interdependent web of existence. And number 8 is building a diverse community and assisting and actively working towards dismantling racism and other forms of oppression. So you might hear a lot of people say, well, anyone can be a UU, or everybody is a Unitarian Universalist. That's not true. And so that's because we have a policy, right? Like you can't just go into a bakery with no shirt or no shoes. You're not going to get any service. And so it's kind of a similar situation where in order to really be a UU, this is the policy. These are our principles that Unitarian Universalists follow. And they are with the Unitarian Universalist Association is who developed these and that we agree upon. Next slide, please. Okay, so if you want to, I have some paper and colored pencils and markers here, and you can go ahead and make your own cookies. So you can kind of demonstrate, and I'll put it back on the slide where it shows you what all of them are. But if you feel comfortable and if you want to, you can go ahead and use hymnals as like your writing material. But go ahead and let's take maybe 10 to 15 minutes and just kind of draw some of how we feel, express ourselves, how we fall as cookies in a bakery. And then we'll kind of go from there, and maybe we can talk about it as well. You don't have to draw if you don't want to, but so yeah. Do you guys want to help me pass them out? Awesome, thank you. I know, I was like, yes, let's do this.
The look that you see now with the pants and the kind of songs that we're singing now are kind of a part of me that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and for some reason or another have been suppressed from doing it. Especially when there's great
everything to you. You say you want to start something new, and it's breaking my heart you're leaving. Maybe I'm grieving, but if you want to leave, take good care. Hope you have a lot of nice things to wear, but then a lot of nice things turn bad out there. Oh baby, baby, it's a wild world. It's hard to get by just upon a smile. Oh baby, baby, it's a wild world. I'll always remember you like a child girl. You know I've seen a lot of what the world can do, and it's breaking my heart in two, because I never want to see you sad, girl. Don't be a bad girl, but if you want to leave, take good care. Hope you make a lot of nice friends out there, but just remember there's a lot of bad, and beware. Beware. Oh baby, baby, it's a wild world. It's hard to get by just upon a smile. Oh baby, baby, it's a wild world. And I'll always remember you like a child girl. Baby, I love you, but if you want to leave, take good care. Hope you make a lot of nice friends out there, but just remember there's a lot of bad, and beware. Well, oh baby, baby, it's a wild world. It's hard to get by just upon a smile. Oh baby, baby, it's a wild world. I'll always remember you like a child girl. Oh baby, baby, it's a wild world, and it's hard to get by just upon a smile. Oh baby, baby, it's a wild world, and I'll always remember you like a child girl.
Oh, thanks. Can you hear me now? Hello. Okay, great. So you can still take a moment to kind of keep drawing a little bit. I think it's only fair that I go over my cookie first, and you will see that I'm not a graphic designer because I did this on a computer. And it's basically just a lot of copy and paste, but we'll get through this together. So this is my example cookie. And so as you can see in the background, there is the bakery where we all exist. And then I kind of just made my cookie kind of the one that's a little rainbow. So I feel like I've just kind of picked up a lot of different things kind of on my journey towards Unitarian Universalism. And that ties in with I made my plate a California license plate because I am from California. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. My parents and my grandparents were both, they're big hippies. And I feel like that was kind of a lot of what made me who I am and also led to me learning that by default I was a Unitarian Universalist, and I didn't even know because I had never heard of Unitarian Universalism until I came here. Basically, let's go down the list. So that was my plate. My dough, kind of plain, honestly, like not too much going on. I didn't grow up with a lot of like cultural events or that kind of thing. And that kind of ties into both the dough and the plate a bit. As for the proximity to the oven, I would say I'm pretty far. You can kind of see it up in the top right corner. For the staff, I put the Riddler because I don't know. So just a big question mark, I'm unsure. And then as for the glass next to, I just put a glass of Sprite, which is like a weird combination with a cookie. But it kind of goes that there's a lot of bubbling up like in there. There's kind of a lot going on. And so what kind of keeps my glass full spiritually, essentially, is just kind of helping others, volunteering a lot. I don't really do a lot of like traditional spiritual practices, you know, like meditation or prayer, but a lot of being around others and helping others kind of fills up my glass. And I decided to symbolize that by bubbliness. And then kind of the cleanup is a little bit down here. I kind of went with like the compost theory because I don't really believe in a like necessarily spiritual afterlife. And then just kind of in the right hand, I just put up the policy, which are the 8 principles. And yeah, so that's kind of my example. Does anyone want to share or have any questions, comments, concerns? You definitely don't have to, but okay, great. Susan?
So I have my drawing here, and I'll describe it. So, do you have the list? Can you put the list back on so I can go down it? That would be helpful. Very good. Okay, the bakery, UU, the staff. I'm not really a staff person because I'm not that rigid. It's like go with the flow kind of thing. My plate on here, I've got the words German, Irish, Scottish, Norwegian. Those are very stubborn races, and that's my genetic background. But I think of it also as somebody who's very determined and who can persevere. That's the positive side of being stubborn. The dough was, I've had a lot of experiences with other religions, but I was raised United Methodist, so that's my dough. And in my church, it was a very liberal church in Livonia, Michigan, so not too far off from sort of this experience. The toppings, lots and lots of different types of toppings, you know, nuts and fruits and everything you could, sesame seeds and anything you could put in there. I like that. Proximity to the oven, yeah, it's right over here, pretty close, but it's a like a fireplace type oven because it's very cozy and, you know, warm, and you like to sit in front of it and read a book kind of thing. The glass is almost full. It's full of blessings and gratitude. It's filled by recognizing my blessings, and then the cleanup is the open hole in the middle of my cookie because I'm open to whatever happens. I don't know what's going to happen, and it's like whatever happens, happens. So I'm open, and I can't remember what the policy was. Was it? It's just the principles. Oh yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Great job, Susan. So we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more if anyone wants to share out. No pressure. You don't have to. Anybody else? Okay. We have 1 in waiting if no one else is interested. Okay, awesome. Colleen? Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I didn't draw the staff, though, like who, because I don't think about that too much, you know, like and that, so it's not represented on purpose. Who's up there? Yeah, that's not a big thing for me. So this is my plate, this red part, and I have, I'm thinking about like where I came from in my religious upbringing. So I put the priest, you know, who wears green most of the year, and next to the pulpit and the Bible that like they'd had me get up and read from as a kid, and that's like kind of foundation. Now I've been to UU like as long as I was Catholic, but it's still there as the foundation, right? It's the plate. And then what I learned about myself through this activity, thank you, Robyn, I learned about myself that my toppings that I've picked up along the way have a lot of overlap with my glass, which is how I keep my spirituality going. So I realized like the practices that I use are basically the same things that I've picked up from this tradition along the way. So I have the chalice because the flame, like, you know, when I'm watching these services on Zoom at home, I'll light my own candle and, you know, have my flame. Like the flame's something I picked up, and that's big for me. Just learning about how different people live around the world. The environmentalism, that wasn't a big part of like 90s Catholicism. So I guess that's something I picked up from being a UU. And so I keep my glass full with those things. And then my proximity to the oven, it's there, but it's so small you can barely see it. I'm not feeling the heat too much. Bit of a humanist or skeptic, but yeah, that's my oven in the window. And the 8 for the principles. And then I guess my cleanup, I put this heart here because I think that's really just, that's what happens to you when you die. You just like stay in people's memories and hearts, and that's where you go when you die. You go to people's memories. So, okay.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Colleen. All right, one more. Here we are. Would you like me to hold your...
No, I have to read it. Yeah. Okay, I thought of this in terms of paths to UU principles. So I chose worth and dignity of every person, and in terms of the cookie, I chose dough, which I took as life experiences that lead you to those principles. And I divided the pie into 5 pieces: individual growth, family experiences, personal relationships, group relationships, church, social, volunteering, things like that, and work relationships. And again, with that idea, I'm kind of trying to, have been looking back in terms of what I believe and how I got to where I believe and what those experiences were that led me to what I believe, and then how that intersects with some of the UU principles.
Thank you. So I'm just going to go straight into the connection UU principle. We're not going to do the song, Lisa, which is fine. It wasn't that important. You can just YouTube the chocolate chip cookie song. But do you want to watch the chocolate chip cookie song? It's like, no, we'll skip it for now. We'll see it at another time. But okay, we'll play it at the end. So I will just go into quick UU principle connection, which is all of them, you know, because I think it's important as individuals who are already UUs to kind of review every once in a while, kind of check in with ourselves and with others, but also for new individuals who may be exploring Unitarian Universalism or interested in it. Sometimes I think there's almost like a little bit of like an obstacle because like, if you don't know what it means, like, how are you going to kind of, you know, get involved into Unitarian Universalism? And I just kind of feel like there needs to be more explanation as to like what it is and what it means. And so this was just kind of a fun exercise to go into that. And if you think it was good, let me know and I'll email the UUA. So I will quickly just go over our 8 principles really quick. I know I already did, but our first principle is the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Our second principle is justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Our third is acceptance of one another and encouragement of spiritual growth in our congregations. Our fourth is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The fifth is the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. Number 6 is the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Number 7 is respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are all a part. And number 8 is that we can covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. And so now we are going to go into offertory. So we're going to pass around our little baskets. All donations are gratefully welcomed. If you make automatic pledge payments, please place one of the yellow cards that you can find in the back of one of the chairs, please. Thank you.
Sugar, oh honey, honey, you are my candy girl, and you got me wanting you, honey, oh sugar, sugar,
Okay.
you are my candy girl, and you got me wanting you.
All right. I think we're good to start fading out. Thank you. And thank you for returning markers and colored pencils I stole from RE. They're like, the kids aren't drawing today. And I was like, we will. Okay, great. So our closing words today are very short, and they are from Bobby Flay, which I felt to be appropriate. I think cookies are sort of the unsung sweet, you know? They're incredibly popular, but everyone thinks of cakes and pies and fancier desserts before they think of cookies. A plate of cookies is a great way to end dinner and a really nice way to share at the holidays. And I just thought that was kind of nice in terms of Unitarian Universalists. Okay, so please join me in reading the words provided for extinguishing our chalice. Everything important I ever learned was at a dishwasher and a cook. You show up on time, you stay organized, you clean up after yourself, you think about and respect the people you work with, and you do the best you can. And that was from the final interview with Anthony Bourdain. Yeah. All right, so I know, sorry to make everyone sad at the end. Okay, so now is the time for announcements. There's a blood drive coming up, and I see Lisa already standing up. So if you have any announcements, come on up.
Hi, everybody. So you know why I'm here, but there's new people who don't know why I'm here. And I am here because 4 times a year, we have a blood drive here at the church. And in order to do that blood drive, I need help. I need volunteers, donors, and food. We put a spread on. We make soups and sandwiches and cookies and all kinds of yummy things for our donors. So if you could be a donor, I would really appreciate it. You can sign up online. You can contact me. I'll be happy to get you through after the service if you want to. Just let me know. But I also need volunteers. And for those of you who have volunteered previously, thank you. You're awesome. Also, I sent you an email asking you to do it again. Check your emails and reply with a yes, preferably. So I need volunteers, and I also need food volunteers, people who want to donate food for the drive. So the drive is June 22nd, 9 to 2. And yeah, let me know if you want to help. I appreciate it. And tell everybody, because we need to donate.
Any other announcements, Steve?
Our magic classes have started. Last week was a lot of fun. I don't know why you applauded, but thank you for that. If you're not familiar with what we're doing over a period of 4 weeks, we are talking about the hobby and the profession of magic. And I have some information here if you'd like to see it. Today at 1 o'clock, we start promptly at 1, we end promptly at 2:30. So it's 90 minutes of fun. Thank you.
I'm Bob Rex, and I have an announcement. It almost kind of ties with Robyn here. We're going to, maybe some of you like to cook. So we're not going to make cookies, but I need some volunteers. And the university, I'm a Rotarian, and in conjunction with Bowling Green State University, on July 26th, I want to read just a short paragraph here of what we are going to do, or attempt to do. The Rotary Club of Bowling Green and Bowling Green State University, through its athletic program and the C. Raymond Marvin Center for Student Leadership and Civic Engagement, we're participating with the Kids Coalition Against Hunger to bring 400 volunteers together on July 26th to package 70,000 meals for community and worldwide distribution. We need some volunteers. We've already got a couple hundred volunteers through Rotary and through the university and so forth. Everyone's welcome to participate. We're just talking about a 2-hour shift. We asked if you would bring your young children or grandchildren to be accompanied by an adult. And we have 3 shifts on July the 26th, 8 to 10, 10 to 12:30, and 1 to 2:30. This is going to be in the field house on Mercer Road at the university. And we're planning to get 70,000 meals packaged. So we're not making cookies, but it is a volunteer. And you can, I have handouts out here, and there's a QR, I think a code you can register, or you can even do it simply. You give me your name and address and phone number, and I will register for you. I've already got 1 volunteer. This is my wife, Winnie, back there. She said she was but I would like to, maybe if some Unitarians want to go, we could work together, and it's a shift. In the morning time, it's from 8 to 10, there's a 10 to 12:30, and then 1 to 2:30. So they've done this before. I mean, not at Bowling Green, but even you see in the picture of some other places, there's just hundreds of people out there working and making these meals. And these meals will be used for Bowling Green area and worldwide distribution. So hopefully, if you'd like to volunteer, I'm not asking for money, just 2 hours of a little bit of work. If you'd like to work, and maybe we can get a Unitarian team together. We don't have to, but I know my wife, Winnie, she's going to go with me there, and we've got a lot of Rotarians who are going to be there. So, and I'm going to have these handouts out here, so I will be here the next few Sundays, I believe. So if anyone wants to volunteer or sign up on your own, I have some cards back here that you can use, scan with your computer on the QR, I believe, and get registered yourself and work out. Donna. Pardon? It's, good. Is it Friday? Okay, July, I didn't look. July 26th, I guess, is a Friday then. So, okay, hopefully some of you would like to volunteer here. Maybe we're not going to make cookies, but we're going to put some things together for food for worldwide distribution. Okay.
Okay, so if we want to, we can play the chocolate chip cookie song now, just kind of as people are heading out. So I will just say, after the closing song, which is the chocolate chip cookie song, we invite everyone to stay in person for coffee hour. And I saw that there were some cookies out on the table. So it all kind of cycles together. So thank you.
Life without you is just like chocolate chip cookies. Without chocolate chips, it's just flour. And flour makes chocolate chip cookies, but you need the chocolate chips to make the cookies better. And I'm probably missing some steps, but that's how you make chocolate chip cookies with you. And life without you is like my favorite fries, but fries without any salt, it's potatoes. And potatoes are good, but then they're better with flavor, just like you make my life that much greater. And I'm probably missing some steps, but that's how you make life so much better with you. And love sounds kind of complicated, life without you is simply never as good as when you're here and there's no one to miss. And life without you is just like chocolate chip cookies without chocolate chips. It's just flour. And flour makes chocolate chip cookies, but you need the chocolate chips to make the cookies better. And I'm probably missing some steps, but that's how you make chocolate chip cookies. With you. Yeah.
So join us for coffee hour. If you would like to leave your drawing, you can obviously take them. They're your drawings. But if you'd like to keep them, I'd like to leave them. If you want to put them up here, like maybe we'll put them up somewhere. So thank you. Enjoy.